Good evening everyone. We are going to start with the last point of the chapter, that is the design trade-off chapter. The sub-point in this design trade-off is we are going to learn something about the operating system for the embedded systems. So we know what do you mean by operating system. OS is nothing but it is required in each and every app for each and every application. Unless and until you are going to install an OS, you cannot work for the application whatever you are going to do for the embedded systems. So let us see in detail about this operating system for embedded systems. So next we are going to know, we know that embedded operating systems. Now embedded operating systems is what is like, that we are going to see in detail about the embedded operating systems. We find that embedded systems is everywhere around us in our daily life. We have seen this every time what we, throughout the what we have learned for now. Embedded system is everywhere what around us in our daily lives. So embedded systems are specially designed computer system that essentially contains the software and hardware for performing the specific tasks. So we know what for what purpose we are designing the embedded systems. These embedded systems are specifically designed, or it is essentially designed only for the one specific task, only for one specific application, which is consisting of both the designs, that is hardware and the software. So the mobile phones what we are using, the laptops whatever we are using, the cameras, the washing machines, the ATM machines, the hair straighteners, etc., etc., are the examples for the embedded systems. Okay, so far now we have learned all this. So we have just, and what you can say, just an overview for this embedded system what we have learned for. Now in detail we are going to move towards the embedded operating systems. So let us see what is this embedded operating systems in detail. So what is embedded operating system? So the name itself is suggesting that embedded operating system is an embedded system or embedded systems operating system. Is it not? What is embedded operating system? Is nothing but the thing which is going to make the embedded work is done with the help of this operating system. So the name itself is suggesting that embedded operating system is an embedded system operating, who is going to operate the application, right? So this embedded operating system is going to have some limited features. So it is usually designed for some particular operations to control an electronic device. Okay, so it is usually designed for some particular operations to control an electronic device. So for instance, all the mobile phones, that is essentially consisting of an operating systems, that is work always in the boots. So whenever the mobile phone is in the running condition, so for these things the operating system is required. So to control all the features and the basic interface of the mobile phone, the OS is compulsorily required in embedded. So there are some programs that can be loaded into the mobile phones, is it not? So whenever you need to operate on one some particular applications into your computer systems, or you want to load some applications into your laptop systems or in your mobile phones, compulsorily it is going to work with the help of this OS only. So most of the time it is running on the Java apps and run on the top. So if you suppose if you are going to run one particular application, it is run on the Java, and on the top of the icons you may see those applications running in the background. So that is nothing but with the help of OS. So this embedded operating system runs on the embedded processor. So we have seen the embedded processors in our last lectures also. What do you mean by embedded processors, or what kind of different processors we have been used for this embedded designing purpose. So this embedded purpose, what are the embedded processors? So we will have overlook for this also. The processors that are generally smaller, okay, which uses on the floor mount to form the factor that are much less energy required. So that is the embedded processor is nothing but the microprocessor, and this is used in an embedded system. So most of the applications what we are going to using in our daily life is consisting of a microprocessor. So these embedded processors is a microprocessor designed especially for coping up with the wishes as an embedded gadget. So whenever you are going to operate this embedded system with the help of this processor, it is going to work easily. So the normal processor comes up with the processor in the chip. So the peripherals are separate from the main chip, ensuring in extra strength intake. So the embedded processors have the real examples or the real life examples what we are using nowadays. So there are some characteristics for the embedded operating systems. So the main characteristics of the embedded operating systems is the direct use of interrupts. First thing is the direct use of interrupts characteristic. Second is the reactive operation. Third is the real-time operation. Fourth is the streamlined protections of the mechanism. And next is the input output device flexibility, and after that is the configurability. Okay, so whenever we are going to look after these following characteristics of an embedded operating, we are going to learn about this all things. So there are two different kinds of operating systems. First one is either the general operating systems, or it is that is modified in such a way that it is going to run on the top of the device. Okay, so as I told you, it is going to run on the background and the icons are shown on the top of the mobile phones. So this approaches or the design of the operating system includes either we take embedded operating systems that is existing in the in our embedded application, or you can take is the design of a new operating system that is particularly the embedded system. So all these things can be done whenever the things are being carried out. Next we are going to see that we can adapt the existing operating system to our embedded applications, right? So whenever we are going to adapt the existing operating system to our embedded application, the streamline operation with the real-time capability can be added necessary to the functions. So the advantage for this approach, that is familiar interface, and that is a disadvantage that is not optimized for the real time. So this is the advantage for that particular OS. So the most common example of the embedded operating systems around is included as the mobile. Okay, is it not? So this mobile, or you may call it as a cell phones. So these mobiles or the cell phones is basically the handheld device, we all know, and it is also nothing but the personal assistant data. So personal data assistance. So this is nothing but going to work on the Symbian OS, which is the OS it is working on the Symbian OS, that is for the cell phones and also for the Linux. These are going to work on the Linux. So whenever you're going to buy a mobile phone, you're going to see all those things, all these features on your mobile phone, which kind of OS is operated, what is the memory used, what is the camera's pixel, how much camera pixel it is being used, what is the memory, what much is the expandation given in it, what is the which type of glass has been used. So these are all the features which we are going to look for all the embedded system applications. So the flash memory, now the next we are going to look is the flash memory chip that is added on the motherboard, and in the case of the embedded operating system, so that the personal computer you can boot to the personal computer. So that is the flash memory is used in the OS. So basically there are different types of embedded operating systems. So first one we are going to look is for the single system control loop. This is one type. So in the single system control loop is the simplest type of the embedded operating system. So it is going to work in the operating system, but it is designed to run only a single task at a time. So basically what we can do whenever you are going to operate to an mobile phones, so whenever it is consisting of this kind of OS, whenever it is going to operate on a single loop, but nowadays whatever you are using the mobile phones, you can see that OS is so fast that at a time 2 to 3 or 4 applications can run simultaneously. Facebook you can operate WhatsApp, you can operate some Zoom application on the background, you can also some Go meeting at the background. So each and every task you can do multitasking, but that is not possible in this single loop control system. So that the single system control loop is going to work only for one particular single task operation. So it is debate. So it is still under debate that this system should be classified as an operating system or not. Basically what we do, operating system is nothing but it is going to run for multiple tasking, but this single loop is handling only one task. So and still it is not considered or under the control loop, or whether it should be considered or not, the thing is going on. So the next we are going to see is the multitasking operating system. As I told you just now, multitasking operating system is nothing but the name is itself is saying that this operating system can do multiple things, or it can perform the multiple tasks simultaneously. In this multiple tasking operation systems, the several tasks and the processors are going to execute simultaneously. Okay, so more than one function can be performed in the system, has more than one core or more processor. So one or more core or more processors whenever you are going to use, so that time they are going to work on a multitasking functions. So these operating systems is been switched between the task. It can switch the task in between. So whenever you are going to switch the task has to wait for event while the other events is become to be on a ready mode. So if one is the using a multitasking operating system, then the other software development is simplified because different components of the software can be independent to each other. So one software cannot be dependent on another, so it can work on their own. So it is need to wait unless and until other is going to complete, the first operator system has to wait. Next we are going to see the rate monotonic operating system. The rate monotonic operating system is nothing but this type of operating system is going to ensure the task whenever it is running in a system for a specific interval of time and for specific time period. It is going to run for some particular time period and also for specific interval of time. So when it is not ensured that whether there comes a notification of failure or the system takes to suitable action. So there we need to know what is exactly the thing is going to happen. So the time limit cannot be ensured if the system is oversubscribed. At this point, another event may occur during runtime failure notification comes. So this can become whenever the notification is going to come. When the notification is going to come, when the system is going to fail during the runtime, then the notification is sent. Next we are going to see is the primitive operating systems. So this primitive operating system is a type of multitasking operating system that interprets the primitive and predominance for the tasks. So basically we are going to learn in detail about this primitive scheduler and next all things in next chapter number 5, that is in detail about the operating systems. You are going to learn something new in that operating system. One chapter is basically completely on operating systems. So there in detail you can learn about this primitive and predominance and schedulers, task and all. So for now, the higher priority is the task is always defined and run below the lower priority task. We know whenever we have been setting one priority to the instructions or some particular task, that higher priority or lower priority, which priority you are going to set, accordingly the priority is going to occur as well. Like if you are going to occur as a higher priority, obviously before the lower task the higher work has to be completed. So such simultaneously multitasking operators systems can increase the sufficient time response so of the event and simplify the development software, making systems so reliable. The designer of the system may be able to calculate the time during the service interprets, and if a system also takes time to scheduler for the switching task. So one of the operation is going on and what time it is going to require, that has to be calculated, and that can be calculated by this processor and operator, and simultaneously it can even show you the scheduler what is the next schedule for the switching task. So if such system fails to meet the deadline of the system, the software is unaware of it and it is going to miss the deadline. So this is one disadvantage. So the CPU loading in a primitive operating systems can be measured naturally by defining the lower priority task. So every time whenever you are going to operate on the higher task, define some lower tasks as well, so that you will come to know whether the sessions are missed or no. If it is missed, you can automatically get the notification of that, and the counter is going to keep incrementing all the time. So the next we are going to see is the real-time operating systems. So this real-time operating system is one which going to serve the real-time applications. So it going to process the data when it is going to come. So the time required for the processing of the operating systems are usually measured in the shortened increments or tenth of the seconds. So it may be the time sharing or the driven of the elements, whatever, or the driven of the events, that is going to depend on what time you are going to drive it. So this real-time operating systems are basically used in small embedded systems. The main thing is, the main feature of this real-time operating systems include the things is, the first thing it is going to include the process thread that can be defined. Second, it is going to know is the multitasking, and the third is the interrupt levels. So whenever we are going to go in detail about the process thread, we should first know what do you mean by thread. What is this thread going to include in the operating systems? So the thread is nothing but a small unit of the processing that is going to perform on the OS. So in the most modern operating system, this thread is going to exist in the single processor that may contain multiple threads. So one operator who is going to work on multiple threads is going to be the most important thread on the operating systems. So what is the thread operating then? We have seen what is thread. Now we are going to see what do you mean by thread operating. So in a computer science, if you study, the thread is the execution of the small sequences of programs. Whatever the length of the program you have been written, the in small portion or the small sequence, the program is going to execute independently according to the scheduler's time period. That is nothing but part of our operating systems. So the thread is the flow of execution through the process code. Okay, so it is going to write its own program counter where it is going to keep the track on each and every instruction to execute the next text. So the system register which holds its current working variables and stack which contains the execution history. So basically this thread is also called as the lightweight process. Why? Because everything is going to go hand in hand easily. So also we are going to learn what is multitasking. Now as you told you all, multitasking is an operating system in which the user it is allowing the user to perform more than one operation at the same time. Okay, that is nothing but called as the multitasking.